Hey there, gang. Here it is. These are all the comic books I brought home from my local comic book store this past week. But the eagle-eyed among you will notice that a lot of these books did not come out last week. They actually came out last month. So if you like comic books, and more importantly, if you like listening to somebody bitch about diamond distribution, stick around. You're going to have some fun. Hey there, Bubby. Welcome to Shanghai. My name is Duke, and this is a pull list episode. Gonna go over all of the comic books I got at my local comic book store this past week. Gonna go over the good, the bad, tell you what I bought, why I bought it, and gonna do a lot of bitching about diamond distribution. So, if you enjoy this content, please do like, share, subscribe, do all the groovy things. Most importantly, leave a comment. That seems to be what helps with the algorithm the most. And also leave a comment if you would like to be entered to win this World of Smallville PVC set. I will be drawing a name at random and giving this set away once I reach 247 subscribers. Getting close, creeping up on it. So all you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment. And yes, if you're already a subscriber, you're halfway there, Bubby. Just leave a comment. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. We will talk about all of the books I got. These books came out, the DC Comics, on March 2nd. The rest on March 3rd. But as I noted, a lot of these books came out quite a bit earlier. So, Batman number 106. Tell me, are you a fan of Batman? Well, not of Batman, but of this book? Or are you like me, somebody who's really just kind of buying it because everybody's buying it, just to be part of the conversation? This one issue, though, it looks like it might be pretty good in the sense that I think this is going to take more than, 6 or 7 minutes to read, which is sort of the average for a modern comic book. And the art is good, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. Crime Syndicate, number 1 of 6. I am a sucker for the old Earth 3. I don't know what Earth we're calling it now. I'm not even sure if this is still an alternate Earth. I'm not really hip to what's happening with the multiverse slash metaverse slash linear verse. I don't know. Now, this is a book that does look like it's going to read in about 6 or 7 minutes. So I don't know if this is going to seem like it's worth the money. But we'll see. We'll see how this book turns out. Let me know if that's a book that you got as well. Infinite Frontier. Yeah, I don't know. The dichotomy here is that I am now buying more comic books from DC than I have in more than a year, 2 years maybe. I had dropped down to getting maybe only 4 or 5 books from them a month. I'm now back up, closer to 15. And so in that sense, the Future State / Infinite Frontier initiatives, those have worked. But the problem is I'm kind of just sampling, trying things out, and I'm just not liking very much. And based on this book, I don't think I'm going to like very much. So I don't know. I could be dropping right back out again, which would break my heart because DC has been my milieu, my realm of collecting, my most favored nation, as it were. Ever since the mid-70s when I started buying comic books. So those books were on my pull list. These next 2 I did not pre-order. These 2 I just grabbed off the shelf for a couple of different reasons. Suicide Squad, I have not been a regular reader or fan of the Suicide Squad since the John Ostrander years, and then really only just the. Got to interrupt myself here for a moment because this is a book that is going to read in about 5 minutes. I mean, look at this. We've got, in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the first 8 pages. We've got about 15 panels. We've got 3 or 4 full page splashes and a double page splash. And even the pages with multiple panels don't have many words. So look at this. My God, every page is a full page splash panel. So maybe I'm not going to like. Oh, see, well, now that's a good page, but even so, it's 2 pages that basically accomplishes a punch. So it's pretty decompressed. But the reason I bought the Suicide Squad is in the April solicitations, the cover for number 2 I really liked, and it looked like the artist who did that cover was doing the inside work. So I sort of vowed when I saw those solicitations to take a look at number 1 when it came out. And I didn't do a very good job of that. I just said, "Oh, that cover's pretty good too." Yes, because I had missed number 1 entirely because, as I said, I don't really follow the Suicide Squad and haven't since the very early part of the John Ostrander version, which is what, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, long damn time ago. I should have looked inside this book though before I grabbed it, but I had already sort of resolved I was going to. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. It looks good, but I don't expect there to be very much to it. All right, Swamp Thing. And the reason I got this book is people have been praising Ram V. People that whose opinion I respect, like Perch, like Wes from Thinking Critical. Ram V, though, I mean, apart from the fact that his name sounds like a Dodge truck. I feel like the Future State Swamp Thing he wrote with all the subtlety of a Dodge truck. I really didn't like it very much, even though these other guys have praised Swamp Thing, and other people as well. Joe Corallo has praised it. I've seen on both Perch and Wes's channels that he's been very effusive about this book. I didn't think much of the Future State at all. It was incredibly meh to me. So with those people praising it, I decided I would try, at least the first couple of issues of this new 10-issue limited series just to kind of see how it is. Maybe I was wrong about Future State, or not necessarily wrong. Maybe it just didn't click with me for whatever reason. Maybe this is better than I think it is. So I'll try a few issues anyway, just to see if people like Perch and Wes and Joe are right, and I'm wrong in my assessment thus far. Maybe this will grow on me. Okay, now we are into the part where we're going to bitch about Diamond, because all of those books from DC, those came out from Lunar Distribution, but the rest of this all comes from Diamond. So, Firepower number 9, and this is actually the only book out of the rest of these that actually came out this week. And the problem with this is, here's number 9. I'm still waiting on number 7. Diamond just never sent it. And it wasn't even a case of they shorted us. They just appear to have missed it entirely. So what's the difference between short and missing? Well, as I understand it, and if you own a comic book store, or if for some other reason you know better, leave a comment down below and set me straight. But as I understand it, a short is when Diamond acknowledges that the shop has ordered the book, but does not fulfill the order for whatever reason. That reason probably being they didn't have enough copies to go around. They probably, placed their initial order with the publisher based on the ordering deadline with maybe a little bit of overage. And then when retailers snuck in some extra orders by the, what they call the final order cutoff date, it just took, those orders out of whatever overage that it had, and ended up with people wanting more copies than it actually had, and so it shorts some customers. And it invariably, Diamond will short the small store, the one that only orders 2 or 3 copies, which makes no sense to me from a customer service standpoint, because, and I get it, right? They're going with where the money is, and the money is with the shops that order 100 copies. But the shop, like the one I get my books at, that orders maybe 2 or 3, or in the case of Firepower, just the one that I have ordered, it's generally ordering those limited number of copies based on pre-orders from customers. So there are actual people out there expecting to get this book, whereas the shop that orders 25, 50, 100 copies, they're likely ordering copies for the shelf over and above their pull list customers. And so they could absorb you missing 1 or 2 or 3 issues from their order better, I think, than the store like mine. And my store My store is a small shop located in Maine, and it only orders really 2 or 3 copies for the shelf above the pull lists, and really only just Marvel and DC. So something like Firepower, and as I understand it, the store has about 80 pull list customers. Out of those 80, I'm the only one who pre-orders Firepower, so the only copy of the book the store orders is the one for me. And for whatever reason, Diamond just never sent issue number 7. Wasn't shorted. They didn't acknowledge, that we had ordered it, that the shop had ordered it, and that they couldn't send it for whatever reason. It just was dropped entirely. Just never showed up. Wasn't on the invoice. Been trying to get a reorder out of them, and it doesn't appear like that's ever going to happen now that we're on number 9, 2 months later. So if your local store has a copy of Firepower number 7, reach out to me. Maybe we can do some kind of a deal, because I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get it through my store. Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon number 2. This initially came out on February 17th, and I don't know what happened. I think this was another miss as well. So I ordered this book really because of Larry Hama. I figured that, if there's anybody who's going to write a comic book in the traditional sense, that it actually has, a story that's not so decompressed as to make each single issue not even worth reading, that, Larry Hama is old school enough. He's going to put together a decent story. Norse Mythology from Dark Horse, the P. Craig Russell adaptation of the Neil Gaiman book. That was initially slated to have come out on January 20th. That was shorted, and just now getting it. Now, it wouldn't have broken my heart if we had never got it, because I dropped my order with this issue. I dropped it from my pull list. This is a book that it's not worth $4 an issue to me. There's just really kind of not enough going on. So I haven't really loved this book, and so I had dropped it. But, the store, initially tried to get a reorder on it when Diamond shorted us. And so we finally just showed up almost 2 months later. Shadow Doctor from Aftershock. This is a book that was initially slated to come out on February 17th. It came in damaged, which is a common refrain, with product from Diamond. This is a book I've been fairly excited about. Apparently, as I understand it, it is the story of the author's grandfather, growing up, in the gangs of Chicago. So I thought that would be, a very interesting read. But again, it came in damaged, and had to try and get a reorder, and it just finally came in this past week on March 10th, having initially been released on February 17th. So maybe if you're out there and you got this book and you've already read it, let me know. What did you think? Stillwater, this was like Shadow Doctor. This came in damaged, and it was initially released February 17th. Had to get a reorder, and it's just come in. And like Norse Mythology, this is a book that it would not have broken my heart had I not got it, because I dropped it after this issue from my pull list. I did not order number 7. And the reason was, I tried it because it's Chip Zdarsky, and I've really enjoyed his Daredevil and wanted to see what else he could do. Problem is, this book, the story's kind of okay. The art is fine. Problem is, if you think about the situation here with this town that's cut off from the rest of the world, where everybody's immortal, spoiler, I hope I'm not giving anything away, but we are 6 issues in, so you should know that much probably. If you think about any of this at all and the way it's done, none of it holds up. It falls apart. And so every issue, like every other page, I am drawn out. My suspension of disbelief is broken, because I can't believe what's actually happening, any of the setup. And I think this is a case, and I have predicted this. You'll remember from my prediction video in August, I predicted that a lot of big name writers and artists like Chip Zdarsky would they would float over to Image as Marvel and DC shrink their lines and exercise more editorial control. these big names will go to Image, and Image will explode, which has happened. So I'm half right so far on the prediction. The full prediction was that it will then implode because most of these big names need an editor, and they're not getting it at Image. Image is effectively, and they've said this themselves, they are curated self-publishing. So these guys like Zdarsky are kind of working without a net. They're working without an editor for the most part on these books, and most of them could use an editor. And this book especially could have used somebody to say, well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? Does that really make sense? Would this person really be in that role? Would that really happen? Does this guy need to be such, this one in particular, need to be such a stereotypical redneck, angry white man? So, I haven't really liked this book. It's okay, but it doesn't really hold up if you think about anything that's happening too hard. And again, it's another book that reads in about 6 or 7 minutes, so it's just not worth $4 per issue. All right, and this was the last book that I got, and this one I had to content myself with what I got. This is another book that came in damaged. You may not be able to see it on the camera, but there is a big, maybe if I hold it in the light just right, but there's this big, like 2-inch kink in the book right here. Going from my forefinger to my thumb where the spine is bent, and there's it's dinged here. But more importantly, and again, I don't know if I can hold this in the light so you can see it, the back cover is all scratched up, and if you feel it, it feels rough. It feels like what happened is it went skidding across a cement floor, and more probably with this bend here, it got kicked across the floor. So unlike these other books like Stillwater and Shadow Doctor that came in damaged and had to be reordered, those books came in damaged because Diamond's packaging is effectively just books in a box, and they float all over the place. And if the books, if the box is even tipped on its side, it'll end up with damage. This book, though, gives all the hallmarks of having gone into the box damaged. And again, it seems like maybe it slid across the floor or some other rough surface, but I feel like it was kicked. Or maybe dropped and then slid. I don't know. But the problem is we tried to get a reorder on it, and this also came out. It's from First Books, and this initially was slated to have come out on February 17th, like a lot of those other damaged books and missed books. But we tried to get a reorder from Diamond, and they've said no. They've said they can't get any more books. They're sold out. So they just basically said, go pound sand. We can't send you another book. So I had to accept this one damaged. Now, kind of the neat thing is that you'll see it is signed here by the writer, Stephen L. Stern. And I knew this, but I forgot I knew it. Stern is from Maine, and this just didn't click with me when I ordered the book. Stern is from Maine. He is, if you're old enough, you might remember him. He's the creator of Zen Intergalactic Ninja. And so he happened to be in the store, and he saw this book on the counter, waiting to go back to Diamond or waiting for word on whether or not they could replace it. And so I don't know if he offered to sign it or if the manager, Dan, asked him if he would sign it. But anyway, he signed it, and that is pretty cool. It's not so cool that it counteracts the damage to this book, so I made Dan give me an extra discount on the book, on top of the discount that I normally get for my pull list, just for selling me a damaged copy. And the reason I ordered this is I have for, 25 years, I have thought that, wouldn't it be great to do something that was, use the comics format in nonfiction to tell stories from colonial and revolutionary era America. Basically, DC's Tomahawk, with real characters and the actual history. So yeah, I thought this book would be really cool. Now, I do have to say, the artwork inside, I don't want to knock it too much because it is, I'm sure, better than I could do. but it is not the level of artwork that I would expect from a book that costs $15. And so I'll be interested to see how it reads. But as for how it looks, it kind of reminds me of the old Classics Illustrated books, which I don't know why people collect Classics Illustrated. Except for the odd issue here and there, most of them have absolutely atrocious artwork inside. So I've never been a fan of the Classics Illustrated books. I have a few, but usually I get them, when they've come to me in a lot of books that I've purchased at an auction or something. So anyway, that is the pull. That's everything I brought home from the local comic book store. So you tell me what you got, Mark 2nd and 3rd. Is your favorite book not here? It came out those days and I did not get it. Well, let me know why you love it and why maybe I should be buying it. Let me know what you thought of any of these books if you've read them already. But anyway, that's it for me. That may not be everything that there is to say about these books, but by gory, that's all I know. So until the next video, here's more Drew saying goodbye, good luck, and please be good to each other.